Hi again. I would like to summarize the first module of this course. Please note that this course focuses on international marketing of digital goods and services. However, many of the ideas are relevant also for marketing in the domestic context, meaning also marketing in your home country, and many of the ideas are also relevant for marketing on the internet in general. So let's start with the distinction between a digital good and an online service. First of all, the biggest risk of digital goods is the risk of piracy, and you'll have to find ways to protect your good from piracy. Actually, you'll also have to consider the implications for the trial period. For example, you can give an online service for a trial period of, say, a month, but you cannot give a movie for a trial period of a month. So you have to use a lot of common sense. First, realize whether you're selling a good or a service, and then think about the implications. Also, many companies actually converted their digital goods into online services. For example, many software companies actually offer software as a service, meaning that you're using actually the software on their own server. And that's a good way to protect their offering from piracy. It's also a good way to sell it because then you can ask for a subscription fee of, say, $10 a month instead of selling the entire software for a few thousands of dollars. So consider, it could make sense to convert your digital good into an online service. It will protect you from piracy. It will actually allow you to sell it for a cheap amount, for a small amount each month, instead of asking people to pay you a big amount of money. If you don't offer a digital good, actually, I recommend that you try to find ways to offer a digital good, which means you have a lot of knowledge. And maybe some of the value that you offer can be digitized. Why? Because it will allow you to actually reach any point on the planet. The internet is universal, and you will be able to sell it to people all around, from all around the world, as long as they, of course, understand your language. So if you teach, maybe you should consider offering an online course like this course. If you are a designer, for example, maybe you should consider building website templates. Many people do that. They sell website templates, ready-made templates for WordPress, for example. WordPress is the most common content management system for building websites, and actually that's another way actually to convert your value into some digital product or digital service. Uh, just a tip, if you decided to digitize part of the value that you offer, part of your knowledge, start with searching for your competitors. Just look for similar products or services. Use Google or any other search engine to look for similar products and services, and then think very carefully if there is anything that you can offer in a unique way. If there is something special about your knowledge, if there is something interesting that you can offer, and that will actually help you in a very competitive market. Of course, as long as you can fulfill someone else's needs. So that was the beginning of our course, the distinction between digital goods and online services. And the next issue was the special characteristics of digital goods and services. So we discussed first the cost structure, assuming that the first copy is very expensive, but reproduction is very cheap, meaning that the other copies cost you nearly zero. So there are many pricing strategies. There are many business models that you can adopt. First of all, you can adopt the classic pricing strategies, like you sell each of your goods for an amount of money. Say this book cost $10, this movie cost $20. So that's the first option. Another option is subscriptions. Like newspapers, you can offer your goods and services for a monthly fee. However, the special cost structure of digital goods and services allow very creative business models, like the freemium business model. So you might want to consider the freemium business model. Think about mobile applications. There are millions of mobile applications for Android, for iOS. Most of them actually use the freemium business model. So you create a very simple a version that you distribute free of charge to as many people as possible, and you create a premium version that costs money. Some of the people that use the free version will actually buy the premium version. Also, not only mobile apps, many publishers, many content publishers have adopted that strategy. And if that's what you do, create content, you should consider the freemium business model. Another way to make a living in the digital world is actually monetize your traffic through advertising. So what you do is placing advertising on the content that you create, for example. So if you have a very good website, very good blog, if it's really trafficked, if you have maybe hundreds of thousands of unique visitors, you should consider placing advertisements on your content. And now, you don't have to go and sell ads. Somebody else will do it for you. You can connect your website to the Google AdSense platform, and Google will place advertisements on your website. Another way actually to make a living is influencer marketing. If you have a community, if you are well known, if you are an expert in your field, you can actually make a living as an influencer. So companies will pay you, so you recommend their product, so you write about their product, so you actually send traffic to a specific place where people can buy the product. And that actually leads us to another way of making a living, and that's affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing means that if someone has a website and he sells products on that website, he will be very happy to give you a small share of the income if you can drive relevant traffic to his website. So the biggest e-commerce platforms these days have affiliate programs. So Amazon and eBay and Alibaba and AliExpress and all those big websites, they have this affiliate program, and they will be very happy to give you a small amount or a small percentage of the revenue if you drive traffic to their website, and actually that those people that you connect to the website will buy something. And actually connecting your website or your blog to those affiliate programs is quite easy. Just read about it in each of these platforms, affiliate program. So we talked about the freemium business model. We talked about advertising. Another way actually to make a living in the digital world is actually earning from complementary goods and services. So if the marginal cost is zero, I can distribute as many or as much as I want from that good or service, and I will actually earn from complementary goods or complementary services. You can think about the open source world. There are hundreds of thousands of softwares that actually are distributed free of charge because they were developed by open source communities. And actually many of the people that contribute to these communities, they make a living from complementary services like training or implementation or consulting. So that's a way to make a living. The good is delivered or distributed free of charge. Again, the marginal cost is zero, but you make a living from complementary services, from complementary knowledge. You can also think about the Android operating system. The operating system is distributed free of charge to producers of tablets, to producers of smartphones. However, Google makes money from complementary services like its search engine and like applications that are sold on the Android App Store. The second issue was the experience good character. And here, actually, we agreed it's a huge challenge because what it means is that people can evaluate your good or service only after they use it. So what do? How can we overcome that challenge? First of all, branding and reputation are extremely important, and you should consider, if you have the resources, you should consider actually investing in building a brand, in building good reputation. And actually, you can also ask your customers to write good reviews about your product or service. And you can post these reviews, you can post testimonials of happy customers on your website, on Google My Business, on your social media. So make sure your customers are happy and make sure they write about it, or make sure they take small videos that you can use to build reputation. And you will post their reviews, you will post their comments on your website, on your social media, and so on. So in case you sell software, you can offer it for a trial period, and that will help with the experience good problem. You can actually, if you create movies, you can create trailers. That will also help people reduce the fear from trying something new. And of course, if you offer a digital book, you can allow people to read the first chapter free of charge. So the main issue here is establishing trust. And if you can't establish trust, people won't buy. I mean, they are afraid it's some kind of maybe a scam or people that will steal their credit card or anything like it. You must establish trust. You must have as many good reviews as possible, and you must build good brand and reputation. The next issue was versioning. We said that creating versions of your digital good or service is actually quite easy, and it allows you to create more value. So now you have to think carefully about your product or service and find a dimension for which some people will be willing to pay a lot and others will be willing to pay much less. So, as we said before, information is most valuable when it's fresh. So think about the time dimension. Can you offer fresh new information for a high price and delayed information for a lower cost? You can actually play with the number of features and functions. You can have the full version with a lot of features and functions and other versions with less. You can also sell content at different quality levels. It could be a picture in high, medium, and small resolution. It can be a movie at HD quality and at lower quality, and so on. You can play with the user interface, which means maybe your technology is the same, but the user interface is different, so that for the premium version, you get more functions, and for the other versions, you get less functions. And again, it's only with the interface, the technology is the same. You can also think about the convenience of the user, meaning there will be a version with advertisements and another version that costs more without advertisements, for example. And you can think about the comprehensiveness of the information that you sell, or the comprehensiveness of the knowledge that you give. You can give only part of the information or the full version. And there is another strategy. You can offer your digital good or service with or without technical support. Now, please note that this strategy has major implications for your cost structure, because all the other strategies that I discussed so far, you only play with bits and bytes. However, if you decided to offer a version with technical support, you will have to hire people, and you'll have to train them, and you'll have to rent office space. So that will actually influence your cost structure, and you have to consider it very carefully. If you don't have resources, if you lack resources, maybe that strategy you should keep for a later phase of your development. A free tip: don't offer too many versions. It will confuse your potential customers and they wouldn't buy. So I don't know what's the magic number. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 5. But don't offer too many versions, because people will be confused. They will find it difficult to choose. They will find it difficult to decide, and they won't buy. Offer a few versions. Make sure people know that this version is dedicated for them. So this could be the engineer version, and this could be the student version, and so on. The next issue was lock-ins and switching costs. And here you have to think about your own product or service. Actually, is it subject to lock-ins or switching costs? Well, if it does, and if you're already established in the market, then very good news for you. Actually, lock-ins and switching costs create entry barriers to your market. However, if you are a small startup, a challenger, if you want to enter a market where the product is subject, where your users are subject to lock-ins and switching costs, you'll have to find ways to bribe them. You'll have to offer something that good that they will be willing actually to switch. And in many cases, it's very, very difficult. So think very carefully how expensive it is to switch for your potential customers and how can you overcome these costs. Another issue was the network effect. And as we said, network effects are actually a very powerful force in the digital economy. So think about your own product or service. Is it subject to a network effect, and how strong is it? Because if it is subject to a network effect, you will have to find ways to reach a critical mass of users. And without a critical mass of users, the value of your good or service will be very low. Think again about WhatsApp or Tinder or Facebook or Instagram. If the user base is very small, if only 10 or 20% of your friends would use it, actually it will be not very, you wouldn't have too much fun using these social networks. So try to find ways to reach a critical mass of users. In many cases, companies actually use penetration pricing, which means they price it very low, so as many people as possible will buy it. And in many cases, it means pricing it below your costs. So at the beginning, you lose money. You should also consider giving away a free version. Think about dating applications or online dating websites. Most of them, or I guess all of them, have a free version because they want as many people as possible to use those dating applications like Tinder, because the more people use them, the higher the chance to find a match. Okay. And of course, if you have already an installed user base, if you have users that actually you have access to, you should make sure you leverage that user base. You can use that user base and offer them new products or new versions of your product. Remember, in the network economy, your user base is one of your most valuable assets, okay? Because of this critical need to get to a large enough user base, so we start actually creating value for people. And try to influence people's expectations. There is this self-fulfilling prophecy effect. If everybody believes that Facebook will be the next the up-and-coming social network, only because they will start using it, it will become the next social network. So there is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you can make people believe that your technology or your good or service are going to be the next most popular product, that itself can create the snowball effect, and your user base will grow and grow. Our last issue was internationalization or international marketing. And yes, there are many ways to go global. As we said, the main issues were choosing markets or the order of markets or the pattern of internationalization, meaning should I go first to country X and second to country Y and third to country Z? So how can I choose markets? And what I suggested to you, and that's based on my own research, is to actually consider languages instead of geographical borders and try to adjust your product or translate your product to languages that are spoken in many countries. That will help you cover a big part of potential users very quickly. So think about Arabic, for example, Chinese, English, French, Spanish, German, languages that are spoken in many countries. Another thing that you should consider is actually building one website, one platform for the entire planet. That will also increase the speed of your internationalization. So if you look at Google, if you look at Facebook, if you look at LinkedIn, they build one website and they have different interfaces that are actually dedicated to different languages. You can learn a lot about your foreign market from a distance. You don't have to establish an office in the French market in order to learn about the French users. So if you have a website and you can connect it to Google Analytics, you can learn a lot about the behavior of your users from a distance. So try to learn about foreign markets from a distance, from observing the behavior of your customers. If you can, if you have a strong community of users, they might be willing to help you to translate your website into different languages. And I know it sounds weird, but it has happened in the past. If you look at Facebook, what they did is building a tool that allowed their users to translate their website. And they had 300,000 volunteers that translated the Facebook interface. Of course, only the interface is translated, not the content. They translated it to more than 70 languages within a short period of time. So if you have a strong community, try to actually use volunteers to translate your website. It will be, of course, cheaper, it will be faster, and in many cases it will be better because people translate from, say, English to the mother tongue. So actually the flow of the language is much more natural. This trick is an old trick, and actually it started in open source communities already in the 80s and in the 90s, but you can use it also today. If you have a strong community, see if they are willing to help you, if they love your product. See if they are willing to help you translate your website or your interface to their mother tongue. And in case actually you are a part of an ecosystem of one global platform, or in case you build one global platform, this actually structure is very helpful in internationalizing. And I will explain. In recent years, we've seen a lot of offerings that are provided as a platform and an ecosystem. Think about iOS, think about Android, think about game consoles, think about personal computers. So we have usually one very strong company that provides the platform, and then we have a lot of niche players, a lot of small companies that provide complementary software, complementary content, complementary technologies, goods, and services. So first of all, you have to locate yourself in that world. Are you the platform provider, or are you one of the niche players? And that actually, this understanding will actually allow you to create a better strategy, because there's a big difference between the strategy of a platform provider, where what you do is helping people create complementary products. So you give them tools, usually free of charge, and you help them market their goods. And there is a big difference from this platform strategy and a niche player strategy, where what you usually do is focus on a very small niche, but you try to be the best at that niche. So this platform ecosystem strategy has helped Android and iOS actually go global very quickly, because they did not develop the applications for foreign markets. In many cases, actually, or in most cases, the people that developed applications for foreign markets were foreign people. So people that provided the French applications for Android or iOS were actually French people, and that allows overcoming the cultural differences. Cultural differences are probably a very strong barrier, a very big challenge when internationalizing. And when you have an ecosystem that allows of foreign developers, that allows overcoming that barrier. So we'll meet again in module number 2, and yes, I wish you all the best.